As I said in earlier videos, there is no abuse that's greater than another. Each abuse is significant. And we'll be talking about financial abuse today. One of the reasons it's very important for you to know if you're being financially abused is you need finances to live in this world. There is nothing that you can do without money. For you to move from one place to another, you need money. For you to eat, you need money. For you to be dressed, you need money. The abuser is counting on this because they want you to become dependent on them and therefore choose to not leave them, because they know that money is important. One of the reasons why victims usually go back to abusive relationships is money. Sometimes when they leave, they do not have a source of income, especially if you have children and then you realize you cannot provide for the child, you cannot feed the child, you cannot take the child to school. Some of them choose to go back because they haven't been working for a while. Maybe they were not allowed to work, so getting a job may not have been easy for them. They feel like, I was being provided for and therefore I can deal with whatever the person is doing to me. One of the ways that you're being financially abused, and I mentioned it in the emotional abuse video, is being prevented from working. Some of them may approach it in a way that will make you think that you're really getting a good deal, that your expectation is to stay at home and take care of the kids and have a good life. It may seem like a good thing and like the person cares. I'm not saying in all instances it's this way, because there are people who are provided for by their husbands, but there are cases where they use this so you can be dependent on them and cannot have a way of escape. So you need to be careful when someone is telling you that you shouldn't work, and also use the children to tell you that the children need their mother home. Such things can be used for financial abuse. Another way that you can experience financial abuse is when one person is controlling the finances. I know there are couples who have a joint account. Financial abuse can also happen to you even when you're working, because the person can also be the one making financial decisions. You do not have any control over your money. So let's say you have a joint account, but one person has the control and you do not have any say in it. Like, you're just waiting for the person to allocate the money and say that this money will be used for this and this. And this may lead you to even not caring for yourself because you're not the one in control. Your partner can also steal or misuse your money. You find that they have drained the joint account without informing you, and it doesn't matter whichever intention they will tell you they have, because you should be part and parcel of the decision, because you brought in money and you need to have a say in whatever happens to your money. So you might think that there is money in the account, but there is no money after all. And also, let's say your money is in cash on your phone, so you've worked, and then the person comes and steals your money. I'd like to clarify something. If one person is supposed to provide for both of you, and then the person is withholding the money from you for the most basic of things like food or clothing, that's neglect. Another way they can abuse you is forcing you to make financial decisions. This can include coercion, forcing you to take a loan for them, forcing you to co-sign on something for them, forcing you to purchase items that you cannot afford. If you're uncomfortable, it shouldn't be forced on you. You should be able to say no. In an abusive relationship, it's very rare that your emotions and opinions are taken into account, and that's why this can happen. And I'd really advise you not to take loans that will take up your entire income, because anything can happen. So let's say you are a 2-income household, but your partner tells you to take a loan that will basically be taking a whole chunk of your salary. It's very dangerous. It's actually a very vulnerable situation that you're in, because anything can happen, because you still need to go to work, you need to spend on yourself, you need to make your hair, you need to do all these things, but then you'll be forced to rely on this other person because all your money is tied up. And let's say this person dies because because death doesn't really announce itself. What happens then? Let's say the person decides to leave you. What happens then? When all your money is tied up and you can't survive without the person and you have no other source of income. It's not love in any way for someone to do that to you. That's not love. That's not trust. I know some people will tell you that you should trust me. Do you not trust me? That is why you're not taking the loan, and try to make you think that you're at fault for thinking that is a bad idea. So they will try to make you doubt your decision. Another thing is giving an allowance. In itself, it's not a bad thing. If you feel like you need to beg for that money and your spending is being tightly monitored, that you need to justify every single expense. And this can be for the most basic of things, for groceries, for your personal hygiene, things like pads, things like making your hair, making your nails, things like that. If you need to justify every single coin, every 50 bob, and try to convince them that this is something that I actually need to spend on, that is also something to look out for. They can also ruin your financial future by sabotaging you at your job or making it very hard for you to succeed at your job, and therefore you're either left without a job or you're left standing on thin, putting your financial future at risk. Also, another thing that's used in financial abuse is cultural and gender norms. And traditionally, it's been the man dealing with finances, but it's really important for you to know what is going on with your finances. You might be in the dark thinking that everything is going well when things are sinking. Do not let anyone tell you that because you're a woman, you do not need to know anything about finances, or that just because someone is male makes them better decision makers about finances. Finances have nothing to do with gender. So it's important for you to not fall for the lie and lead you to be in the dark about your finances. Hiding financial information is also another way of abuse, because you're literally in the dark. You do not know what investments are being taken. You do not know what deals are being made. You do not know what bills are being paid. You do not know if you have loans. You don't know if you guys have. That is not okay, because it's supposed to be a partnership between you two. This sort of abuse can lead to you losing your independence, and this will lead you to feel very helpless and powerless in your situation, and it also makes you feel isolated. This decreases your chances of leaving that relationship. You can also develop anxiety because you're always in the dark, and therefore you do not know what to expect. You do not know if you're going to be given money. You do not know if you're going to eat. You do not know what is going on, and that can lead to anxiety and depression. Another thing that can come out of this is being left homeless and being left in poverty. Let's say the person decides to leave or chase you away. You are left with nothing. You're left with no source of income, maybe with debt if someone drained all the money from their accounts, or if someone took loans when you did not know. So you have this extra burden of paying a loan that you didn't even consent to, and that's really stressful for anyone. Financial abuse is not something to be taken lightly. Abuse is still abuse, and it has many adverse effects that can be felt even for years afterwards. You can also be left with legal issues because maybe the person committed fraud and you did not know, and it's just a messy situation. Financial abuse can also be mixed with other forms of abuse like emotional abuse, like manipulation and things like that. So if you're depending on this person and you feel like you have to give in to every single demand that they have, or else you'll be out on the street, it can also be intertwined in that. I hope the video helped you to identify ways that you can be financially abused, so that either you can leave early before things get serious, or if you're in that sort of relationship, you can see that this is not a healthy situation. Until next time, bye.